These are like long. I'm sorry. She's coming hard to the finance
All right,
committee meeting.
let's go ahead and
No,
call to
just
order
water.
the finance
Just
committee
water.
meeting for August 19th. We're right here at 5 o'clock. If you'll call roll, please.
Counselor Jones.
Here.
Walden.
Here.
Solomon. Smith.
Here.
And Hart. Got three.
All right, we have a quorum, so do I hear a motion to dispense with the reading and approve the minutes from August 5th?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Mrs. Smith. Second by Mr. Gwaltney. Any questions on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's 3-0. We have a lot on the agenda tonight, so we're just gonna kind of go through this as quickly as we can. We have several other meetings tonight, so I appreciate your patience as we kind of move through this. Looking at old business, 2006-23, request for consideration of city manager. I know we have a few updates from you, Mr. Black.
Yeah, and most of the updates are just that Bo has done a good job of following through on the stuff that we voted on whenever it was in the special call meeting. And so in terms of getting the ballot ready, getting the machines rented, all of that stuff. So everything still looks good for the 24th. And obviously the community's been asking about it and all those sorts of things. So I think we'll have more to talk about in the coming weeks, but right now everything's on track.
All right, very good. Any
Counselor
questions?
Jones, I want to mention a couple of dates that I think that are important related to obviously the vote is September 24th. So just a couple of dates from those resolutions that I want to make sure we get out there to the public as we make people aware. One is, I think August 24th is the last day to establish residency. August 27th, I believe, Bo, is the target date for absentee balloting to beginning. And then September 9th is the last day to register to vote for the special election. So just want to kind of mention those for awareness purposes.
Yep, thank you.
Very good. Anybody else? Okay, we'll carry it over for additional information as we go through. Thank you for that report. 020824, request to set a bid date for September 9th for Kenilworth Drive stormwater improvements.
Yeah, this was a project that showed up on the stormwater master plan that we did a couple of years ago, and that it was at the top of the list, and we used that project to go after an ADEM ARPA funding grant that we received, so we won't actually receive the money until we start the project. The goal here will be to bid it on September the 9th, and then be able to budget appropriately for it next year.
Okay.
And this is the one uphill, right? Right, kind of where Ridge.
So on Kenilworth and Ridge.
Ridge, where they
that-
come in.
Yeah, that goes down to Homewood Drive.
Right.
And then wraps around to the creek. That's the downstream section. Go to the next page, Brian. Yeah, and that's the upstream. So Kenilworth and Ridge are at the top up there.
Yeah.
And it goes between two houses.
So you're looking just for a recommendation to set the bid date for September 9th tonight.
That's right, at 4:30. 4:31.
With the deadline for bids to come in at 4:30 and then open
And
bids
open
at
at 4:31. Okay.
I would make that motion to set the bid date for September 9th at 4:30 and opening at 4:31.
Second.
Okay. Counselor Smith made that motion, and then Counselor Gwaltney and Counselor Alamon is here.
Yes,
So
sir.
you've heard all that. Any questions or comments on that one?
Yeah, Mr. Horton's here too.
Okay, yep, and Mr. Harden is here. We're voting on Kenilworth Drive stormwater improvements for bid opening date of September 9th at 4:30, opening at 4:31. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that's, well, I count you, Mr. Harden.
Yeah, you can.
5-0.
Favor that.
Everybody's here. Love it. Okay, looking forward to that. Moving on, 030824, request to purchase a portion of 12 Pomona Avenue, and we got a report on that. Cale, if you can provide some more detail, we got the assessed value and the proposed purchase. All the details, you got the legal description to Mr. Kendrick. So any, comments on that? We've kind of talked about it, but we're just now to the point where we've done all the survey and we've come up with a price, right?
That's right. This was the one where there was an existing fence that got destroyed during a storm, and Alan asked to put the fence back, and we realized that it wasn't on the property, it was on the city property, so we kind of went through the indemnification process, and when she got to Public Works Committee, it was recommended that she go this route. So scroll down a little, Brian. Yeah, so the section that's hatched, is 860 square feet and will be, surplus.
She's just buying the back part of that.
The triangle piece, that's right.
And really, unlike normally when you have property on both sides, you're really getting the land value of her property is what you're using as your number.
Is the only adjacent,
Yeah. And so the recommendation, I guess, is to allow the purchase or accept the purchase as stated in the document there at the very top, 233784. And do we need to move for proper indemnification agreements, or is that?
Well,
we
she's
just-
purchasing this, there
it
is
would
no.
be-
There would be no
indemnification.
indemnification since we're selling.
She's just
We'll have
buying.
to declare it surplus, and then you can authorize it to be sold after that.
Okay, so that's a proper motion to declare it surplus and sell it at the,
I would make a motion
That's
to
right.
declare that, piece of Pomona as, surplus and sell it for the, decided upon price.
I'll second that.
okay. Moved by Mrs. Smith, second by Mr. Hart. And that is 573 square feet, and that's 2337.84 cents.
It's really 860 square.
Yeah, that's the.
Oh,
old
wait, am I
exhibit.
looking at an old one?
Yeah, go to the next page on your, just this one right here.
Oh, okay, 800, okay.
Yeah, they went away. I was gonna say the numbers, but.
Okay, 3575, okay, so it's 860. Thank you for that, I don't, this has been updated. So 3575.49. We have a motion and a second, any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes 5-0. 040824, request for consideration of FY 23-24 budget amendments. These are mainly line item transfers for Park and Rec and Public Works and the city clerk. And this was all as well, that this was distributed. And thank you both for sending all of this information out. Berkeley has, does anybody need a copy of this? We have copies if you need copies of this. We've got 4 transfers. So this is no new money. These are just line item transfers. So we've got 2,500 from wages to janitorial, 850 from wages to overtime, 2,900 from wages to disposal services, and 36,674 from salaries to building and ground maintenance. And then under Public Works, 850 travel to janitorial, and 29,750 salaries to trash dump fees. Okay, and then we've got we also have 9,800 from salaries to vehicle maintenance.
Mr. Jones, I thought you had required that these all be separate resolutions.
I thought we were gonna put everything in one resolution, is it?
That's not what,
Sorry, I was doing something different. What do we-
No, I didn't, sorry, I didn't get that
budget
information.
transfers, I thought you wanted in separate resolutions.
Yeah, I think we want a separate resolutions form. What we were talking about is doing and handling them together in the committee, but having separate resolutions to
Okay.
actually transfer.
Sure.
The first resolution is those first ones you read. The second resolution would be the 9,800. And then the third resolution would be $65,000 to transfer to 3 accounts.
Okay. That was all, yeah, that was all part of the information that was distributed. So we have all of that, but it's it'll be three different resolutions that are presented. Okay? If anybody needs a copy, let us know. Bo has all that. Any questions on those transfers?
Can I make one motion or do I need to make three separate motions?
You can make one motion.
You can
Okay.
make one motion.
We'll
Alright.
adopt three resolutions at the meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I would make a motion to approve all of the budget transfers in Parks and Rec, Public Works, and the city clerk's office.
Second. Okay, moved by Mrs. Smith, second by Mr. Gwaltney. For all those, there'll be three separate resolutions, so be sure to read over those. Any other questions on that? Okay, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's 5-0. Passes. Okay, next we have 050824, request for consideration to surplus seized vehicles, and we've got 4 vehicles that were distributed. A 1990 Accord, 95 Maxima, a 2003 Mini Cooper, and an 07 Dodge Magnum. So those would all be, this would be an ordinance to declare those
I
surplus.
would make a motion to declare all
Second.
employees.
Okay, and who seconded that?
Carlos.
Okay, Councilor Holloman. All right. Any questions on that? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's 5-0. That passes. Okay, 060824, micro-transit presentation, from Gus Hughes. We have Chris Nani here that's gonna kind of lead our conversation. Yep.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
It's my pleasure to be here today. Of course, if you were expecting Charlotte Shaw, you got the second one in charge, someone else. I don't look exactly like her, but it's our pleasure to serve and continue to serve Homewood with transit. And as you can see here, reimagining public transit with our 70-30 plan. So 70-30 plan is really just simply, we're taking 100% of our fixed route service and putting on 70% of the service, and with the other 30% would be microtransit. So we found that microtransit is what people are actually yearning for. And this vision, which stemmed from Charlotte, actually was honed by other people having input, like Chris Nanny, and other people, including your citizens, which we find that a lot of citizens actually like microtransit. Homewood is our third largest contributor to service, and today we'll be trying to introduce the microtransit concept to you. And we believe that after you see it, you'll actually buy in and actually want microtransit. Now, one of the keys of this year, actually the year coming up, is that we're proposing to give microtransits to you totally free. So the BJCTA, along with the Community Foundation, actually are going to subsidize microtransit for the first year of operation. And based on that year, we're hoping that you will actually be influenced by the productivity and the service that microtransit renders to you to actually want to start to contribute to that in the other years. Now, if you go to the next slide, please. Is somebody
There it
over
goes.
there?
Yeah, there we go.
Okay, so we talked about Chris Nanny, president of the Community Foundation, is here. We also have Brittany Thomas, who is our planning manager, to help us present today. And actually Severine Cohen, who's with VIA. Now, VIA will be the provider of microtransit for the upcoming year. And VIA has done a tremendous job, and you'll hear about that with the tremendous job they've done in the city of Birmingham, actually with microtransit. And we're hoping that trend continues here in Homewood. So a team of people, all of these people had input into microtransit, so this is just not a BJCTA concept. It's a concept that we find that has been catching on throughout the region and actually had input from other people other than just the BJCTA. So with that, we have a short video about microtransit, and then the next person you'll hear from is Chris Nanny.
This is the Birmingham On Demand microtransit vehicle. This program has been going on for 6 months now in the city of Birmingham in a limited service area. And rides are $1.50 per ride anywhere in the service area. We've had about 15,000 rides over the past 6 months.
I'm Councilor John Hilliard. I'm riding with Birmingham On Demand.
They are a very valuable resource, especially for those with mobility issues such as myself. They make getting around the city a lot easier, and it's very cost efficient too.
This is how you get to the grocery store, this is how you get to the doctor's appointment, this is how you get to work, and it's only $1.50. I'm Stephen Hoyt. I'm the chair of the Transportation Committee and the Council for District 8. And guess what? I'm riding with On Demand.
I've been using VIA to ride back and forth to the Max bus station. I also use Max bus and also the VIA when I can't get a bus. As you see, it just got through raining, and they're a convenient alternative. If you can't get the bus, you can get VIA.
The first thing I want to talk about is we've got some politicians that see needs in this city. And we've got counselors that was Darrell O'Quinn and John Hilliard that seen a need back in December of 19. Well, they said, hey, we need some better transportation in addition to our good transportation of Max.
Hi, I'm Counselor Crystal Smitherman. I'm riding with Birmingham On Demand.
So in order to use the service with Birmingham VIA, all you need is a telephone number and a credit or debit card. We'll pick you up at one of our pinpoint locations and then give you a call so that we can make sure that we're both at the designated location. And then we'll pick you up, and then you'll ride in a clean environment to whatever drop-off location of your choice you chose.
They wish for more opportunities, they wish for expansion. So I think it's important that we continue this service, but we continue by expanding it as well, making sure more people have opportunities. And the thing I like the most is, you know, all things being equal, if everybody had an opportunity to get a job, is access to get to that job would be the most critical. So I think it's important.
I find that the impact that VIA has on the city is enormous. And that's speaking from a driver's perspective, because I meet a lot of the people, and a lot of people are able to access hospitals, jobs. Numerous of people have gained employment, having access just to get to the job, back and forth with VIA. So they really, really love it.
Because we are one of 3 states in the country whose state constitution does not allow funding for public transportation. There's an amendment to the Constitution 1951 that said, moving forward, transportation dollars can only be used for roads and bridges. The result of that, the legacy of that, is it cannot be used like other states for state dollars to get federal matches to fund public transportation. So cities like you all have to pay for 100% of your public transportation, and that's just not fair. So we've been looking at ways of how can we make this more efficient and effective. And so in 2017, I was listening to NPR and heard about the city of Arlington, Texas, that went to microtransit. We called Gus Hurd Hughes, who's on the phone, who's on Zoom right now listening in. We called Arlington, Texas, and said, tell us about it. They just said, we're working with VIA, who you'll hear from. We're doing a 6-month pilot, and we love it, and we're expanding it. They're the first city in the country that have gone citywide just with microtransit. So we called them up. Then I got with Darrell O'Quinn, and we said, how can we bring this to Birmingham? So the Community Foundation funded a 6-month pilot for the city of Birmingham, a particular zone. The data that we were basing this on is Brookings Institute did a report, and it shows that in Birmingham, if you own a vehicle in Birmingham, you have access to 100 times more jobs in a 30-minute radius. And so this is a workforce development issue. This is also a way for us to do this in Birmingham, and particularly we focused on need on the west side when we started, was to get people to work, also to medical appointments. So in 2019, we funded it, fully funded it for 6 months, tying it into the budget season for Birmingham, and we said if we prove concept on the front end, Mayor Woodfin, will you take this on? And he said, yes, you gotta prove concept. So we said, okay. So we hired community organizers before it opened, got word out, because we knew we had limited time, we had to hit the ground running. December 2019, we launched it. Phenomenal numbers 3 months into it. I met with the mayor second week of March, and he said, all I'm hearing is the zone's not big enough. We've got to increase the zone. And I said, well, it's going to cost you X amount of dollars. And he said, we'll find those dollars. This is important. 2 weeks later, COVID hit. They're facing a $60 million deficit. And this was not even an item in the budget. So we're like, there's no way. They're cutting everything. Well, he found a way. This was one of 2 items in the budget that got funded, and so they weren't able to double it. They were able to keep the size the way it was. 2020, they take over. 2022, they did double it. So they have increased it to 19 neighborhoods on the eastern zone, and those 2 zones are connected by the BRT. So for $1.50, you can go from the Crossplex. BRT is free right now, and you can get to the airport, you can get to anywhere on the east side, East Lake, or whatever for $1.50. So that's in operation. 2023, the BJCTA got involved and said, hey, we love the numbers, we want to kind of take this over, expand it. So they expanded in the western zone, they expanded and they took it to evening hours. And then in 2024, we're in conversation now, this has been such a great success, we feel like it needs to expand beyond Birmingham. So we've actually been in touch with Homewood over the past number of years. We made a presentation to the city council a few years ago. We did a survey a couple years ago, and we just did a new survey. And the plan is to take this over the mountain, not only to Homewood, but to Vestavia, Hoover, and Mountain Brook is interested also. If we go to the next slide. As you can see, just in Birmingham has done over 300,000 microtransit rides since it launched basically in 2020, and that includes COVID when no one was riding. So over 300,000 rides, 79% are using this to access jobs, 33% are using it connecting to hospital and medical appointments. That was the reason why we started this, and people are utilizing this, and you can see it's been great success. It's really taken basically an hour and a half point to point with bus ride down to about 15 minutes. And again, the way it works is if you live in this zone, if we did Homewood, I could be at my house and it's an app-based, just like an Uber or Lyft, it's app-based. You call it, it will come. We're averaging in Birmingham around 10 minutes where it will come. It'll pick you up within a block, so you can wait in your house. Sends you a text when it's 2 minutes away. You get up, you connect to it, and there's no fixed route. It's going to take you to where you're going, but it's picking up and dropping off people along the way. And so it'll take you within a block of your destination. So you just define a zone, and it'll go anywhere within that zone. So you're not waiting out at a bus stop. You're just wherever you are, you're calling it. If you go to the next slide. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Brittany, and I'll be back up.
Thank you, Chris. Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm just going to take a brief moment just to just talk about just as far as where are the citizens going from what we noticed. If you go to the next slide. So basically we used a software called Replica. So what Replica does is that it goes over a particular season, like the numbers that we see here is based in fall of 2023, and it just kind of analyzes the trips around where your citizens are moving in your particular city. So what we saw is that there were a lot of trips that were between 2 and 4 miles. Now, that's actually great for microtransit because they're really good for those short trips that you want to go to. For example, let's just say you're here downtown, you're shopping. You know, you may have left Bob's Bikes and say, oh, you know what, I think I might want to go to Central Park, which is not too far. Then you can utilize microtransit for that, just for that short trip, and say, oh, no, I think I want to go down to the public library, which is beautiful, by the way. I truly enjoy it. And then same thing. So now you're able to move around without the headache of trying to deal with traffic. I mean, I don't know if you've noticed the cars that constantly back out. You have to, sometimes they see you, sometimes they don't. So this is also a safe way to be able to maneuver around your city, like the video stated before, for $1.50, which you can't beat. You know, just trying to navigate through that. And so here on the right side here, we see what's the preferred mode, which is your car, right? It's great. You know, you can crank the music up as loud as you want. You can blow the AC as fast as, you know, as hard as you want. So those are the amenities of that. But with microtransit, you can get that as well. You know, you may not be in control of the AC, but we know it comes with that. And so again, we see auto passengers. So which may be your daughter, your son, that may have to get dropped off at work along the way. Well, guess what? If they work within your city, that's what microtransit is for. So that, you can go on your app now and get your ride and go to work. And so you have that also available to you. And we do see where there's some that like to walk. Your city is very walkable. And so that may also be able to help with that as a new market to get into, to just help provide those trips. And so here where this average of miles is more than 10, but we see the median is 4.5, which is it's a nice chunk, but it's not, you know, so far. And like I said, microtransit is definitely a way to help with those short trips. Also to help maximize your time. You know, that 5 or 15 minutes that would have taken you to do an extra trip, you can now give that to microtransit and now get where you need to go, and your family member will be safe. You go to the next slide. So what we see here, they would like, the residents of Homewood would like more transit options. So we see that 28% of residents have access to a personal car, only sometimes or never. 37% of residents experience those challenges. Microtransit is a way to address those challenges. It's cost effective. You're able to go where you need to go. Like Chris Nanny's point, you don't have to do a fixed route. You know, you don't have to make a right turn on red and then go a half a block. It's just taking you straight there. Which again, time is very important. So also 93% of your residents said that they would use microtransit. So knowing that your community is interested, and then to show that, hey, we listened, we heard, and we saw, and we're willing to buy in, just to create, you know, that more community involvement with getting you what you need. Go to the next slide. All right, so here's just kind of what that zone will look like. And within those particular zones, we have our fixed route service that goes in between that. So right now, the service is from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. and then on Saturdays, it's from 10 a.m. to 11. With this particular zone, you will have access to get to UAB Main, which is on 6th Avenue and 18th Street, as well as UAB Highlands, which kind of sits on, that's 11th Avenue and 12th Street is where UAB Highlands. So that is also encompassed within the zone. So as you see here, our Route 3, which is this blue line, takes care of Walmart. That's on Lakeshore. And so John Carroll is also in this zone. So you have a high schooler that, you know, is ready to go to school, they can call microtransit and it will take them instead of you having to wait in the line and go up through the hill. So that's a way for them to be able to get to school safely. Here, if you look at our 14 line, here, which is this pink line, it encompasses the neighborhood Walmart that sits there right there on Columbiana. Also, it covers Barbers Court, where Buffalo Rock is, and where there's a pretty good commercial area there, which also speaks to workforce and having your citizens be able to get transportation to that particular zone. Also, Sanford University is in this particular zone as well. College students need one thing, grocery store. And that wonderful Target that you have is also within that zone. So now that's helping them getting to where they need to go, getting the things they need, as well as servicing Brookwood Hospital, which we have a couple of routes, which is our Magic City Connector that we're looking to expand to Brookwood Hospital. It's one of our more frequent routes. I call it the baby BRT. And the reason why I call it that is because it runs every 20 minutes. If you are familiar with bus rapid transit, it just moves at a higher frequency between 15 and 30 minutes. And so knowing that you'll be able to catch that, for example, if you wanted to park and ride, let's say one of your parking lots here, and say that, oh, you know what, I think I'll catch the Madison City Connector down, or, you know, I think I'd rather enjoy microtransit down, and it will still take you where within that zone, especially if you work at UAB Main as well as UAB Highlands. You go to the next slide. And then this is just again, just an overview of just what BJCTA has to offer, and as far as all of the microtransit zones, just kind of what that look like with our routes overlapped in between those. Next slide. All right. Well, I will.
I think, is Seth, are you on the Zoom call, or do you want me to take this? Severine, can you hear us? Gus, can you hear us? Well, I'll just take this piece. So this is the budget piece. This is what we're looking at. We're looking at a 1-year pilot that would be funded by the community. I have to go to my board this week, so it's not 100% guaranteed. But we would look to split the costs with the BJCTA. So we're looking at for the first year, running from 6 to 8 is 459,000. The evening hours 124 for a total of 693 to operate. There's some one-time costs, so it would be 750,000 for like the complete package for pretty much the whole city of Homewood. The way you can vary these costs is you can say, hey, we don't want evening hours, or we want a longer wait time. Instead of 10 minutes, we want 15 or 20 minutes. There's a way of adjusting the cost. Our thought was that we would offer the Cadillac version for the first year. You guys don't have to pay for anything. We have funding in here for marketing, so we could get a jump on and do marketing to get it out. We want to prove concept because we think that this is the wave of the future. What makes this work is public transportation is not just for under-resourced people. Public transportation is for everybody, and this type of model brings in people who traditionally don't use public transportation, and that's what makes it work financially. So that's what our interest is, but we have to prove concept for you all to like this and want to continue it. You know, at the end of the year, what's good about doing the Cadillac version is you can say, hey, evening hours just are not, there are not a lot of people utilizing them. You could cut that time out. It cuts the budget down. The BJCTA also wants to increase the cost from $1.50 to around $2.75 a ride, just because $1.50 doesn't really cover anything, and to have some source of revenue increase it a little bit more. But so this is what we're looking at budget-wise. I think the challenge for you all will be that if this goes wildly successful, which we hope it would be. You know, I live in Homewood. Homewood does not bus. So whether it's after-school activities or the zoning encompasses West Homewood Park, the new facility there, so you're able to get around pretty much the entire city. The question's going to be, if it proves wildly successful and people like it, is being able to fund it on an ongoing basis. And I think year 2, you don't necessarily have to take on all the funding. I think the BJCTA is open in sharing the cost in that, but eventually that's something that y'all will have to think about. Next slide. This is just a time frame. As Glenn mentioned, the ultimate goal for the BJCTA is getting to a 70-30 plan where 30% of transportation in the county will be microtransit, because it's a more efficient way of serving people in in kind of low capacity areas. You don't want fixed route in that. Next slide. So I think with that, we'll just open it up for questions that you all have.
Chris, I assume during that year pilot program, somebody will be collecting data. Will that be BJCTA?
Yeah, so the data is great.
Okay.
And it's a platform that both VIA and the BJCTA utilize. You can get data like on a daily basis. You can get ridership. They also, our idea is that 6 months through, we would sit down with you all and we would analyze kind of how's it going. The nice thing about this service is you can change it it's just an app, so you can change the borders within a week. like say you wanted to include an area and not include an area, you can make that change in a week, and it's the map reflects that. The data is great, and it's quick, and they can get it to you, you know, on a daily, weekly basis. So I think what we would want to do is sit down 6 months into it and say, hey, what's working well, what isn't, and be able to show the data. Also, with the people that register, there's an ability, and we've done this with them, is to do surveys through the app to the users. And that gives us a lot of great data on how are you using it, what are you using it for, and that's where a lot of this data came from. Carlos.
I think it's great, and I think it's a great experiment. I would love information on how much money a user potentially saves in comparison to like Uber or Lyft, and so that we can talk about the efficiencies that also provides and makes it more accessible to folks who travel around using those mechanisms.
I mean, I think whatever you spend, typically it depends on the length of the ride. This doesn't depend on the length of the ride, because you're paying for the service up front, so you can basically, BJCTA can charge whatever they want. Uber, Lyft is sort of it's not a subsidized cost. So if I'm going from one end of the city to the other, it might cost me $12, $15. This is gonna be $275 regardless, so.
No, sure, I'm just saying that, I know it's clearly more affordable and accessible, but just as a chart, right, to say, people would have spent this much money, they're spending this much because you utilize this service as a way to promote it.
Okay, and Severine, I think if you can hear us, that's a question that I'm sure that they can get us data on from VIA.
One of my concerns, Chris, is that when you give someone something, it's hard to take it back. Right? I mean, you give them a service, and then a year later you say, hey, I'm sorry, we're not gonna do that. That's hard, very difficult for the public. It's difficult in business. So the question I have in my mind is, should we give them this high-end, what, I can't remember what you call it, Cadillac service at first, or should we just, I mean, I don't know the answer to that.
So here's my take on that, because we did this with Birmingham, and I think if you don't know how something functions, you can't envision it. So say we say we're not gonna do nighttime service, then you do the daytime service, and you're like, will people use this at night?
Right.
Well, then you don't know, and then you've gotta build that in. This, I think, says you can measure, is it being used in the evening? Is it being used in this section of town? If this is not, we could cut that out, and so I think it gives you the ability, but you are right. That's what happened with Birmingham, when it was just 3 months into it, when I met with the mayor, and he's like, we gotta double the zone, and I'm like, this is what it's gonna cost you, and he was like, we'll find the money, this is great. So I think if people really want something, then I think there's a way of figuring out how to get it to them, but that would be my answer.
Yeah, aren't we about 300 and something now that we're paying?
About $375
now. Right. So this is, in a sense, might cost us double for our budget in the future.
I mean, I assume that does not include, this is just microtransit.
This is just microtransit.
So be in addition to.
This isn't instead of.
No.
It's in addition, yeah.
It's in addition.
Yeah, but one could assume in the future vision, we have 30% reduction in our BGCTA costs for bus services. It's gonna be reduced and supplemented by VIA.
Okay.
Nick?
I just had a question about the technology to use this, and it kind of relates to with the connection between someone who is going between jurisdictions, so between Birmingham and Homewood. So this microtransit is for internally Homewood primarily, but if you were to go between Homewood and Birmingham, you would use a fixed route, and when this rolls out, will the new BJCT app be available so that there's kind of that cohesive experience for the end user that tells them exactly how to navigate that process between jurisdictions if you have to use more than just VIA?
Yeah, my understanding, what do you want to answer that?
Yeah, we're developing a new mobile app that would actually combine all modes of transportation via fixed route, microtransit, scooters, and all of that. So a person could actually sign on and say, I want to go from point A to point B, and it will tell them the best way to get there, the time that they need to get there. And we expect to have that sometimes in 2025.
Okay, and kind of as a follow-up too, related to this, with some of the, focus on the 70-30 plan, would any of the headway times for the fixed route be improved by the time that
that's the whole purpose is right now in some of these it's once an hour.
Yes.
Getting it down to.
So our goal is to get it down to 30 minutes, because again, what everyone knows, an hour is just too long.
Yeah.
To just wait on the bus. So of course, with the help of microtransit and us being able to reallocate some of those buses that's not in productive in other areas, we can now place them on the major corridors and provide more frequency to where we can get that down to 30 minutes or at the most 45 minutes, but we are aiming for that 30-minute frequency.
And what we have found is that microtransit increases bus ridership. So what we're thinking is main arteries between the zones, and then the zones are feeding that. And just one other thing I would just add is we did the survey in June with you all, with Vestavia, with Hoover, in Mountain Brook. And the greatest need was here in Homewood. Vestavia, Mountain Brook, and Hoover are interested in doing this, are not quite ready. So this will be sort of a test case, not only for you all, but for Vestavia and Hoover to hopefully in the future take this on.
So I've got a question, it's probably for y'all. So the allocation of the type of vehicle, whether it's just a van or a handicap accessible van, is a question I've got about how you decide what quantity you have in the city, because one of the biggest needs that we have seen is that handicapped population that has a disability trying to get from A to B, the unreliability or the lack of reliability that we've seen from some of the dedicated pickup times. So how do you guys allocate the vehicles to ensure that that's covered?
Including one, didn't it?
What's that? Actually we're gonna have two in this zone.
Two, okay.
Right, and so of course, based on the app and when they set up their profile, and then it also lets us know. So of course, based on that demand, then of course we will have those vehicles accessible, what we need, because we just don't want to have one and then overload it. So of course, we would purchase multiple to be able to meet that.
But I will say this is not it is not a paratransit service. It can accommodate here and there, people that need.
So will it not accept a wheelchair?
It will.
I saw the video.
It will.
Okay.
It will, but I'm saying like if you have 20 riders that need in wheelchair, it's it's not going to be able to accommodate that. But if you have one or two, there's a couple of vehicles that are in their train to accept them. Jeremy, who you saw on this, Jeremy, who's in the wheelchair, is a perfect test case. Lives down by the post office downtown. And his mechanical wheelchair broke, and he's the greeter at the Kirkland Clinic. And you'll see him all the time. He was having to do a manual chair from the post office every day to go to work. Because what was happening, when you call the class tran or whatever, you have to call a day in advance, and it gives you a 2-hour window. And so he was not able to get to work on time. And so VIA was a game changer for him, because it would come to his house within 15 minutes on the day he called it up. And so that's how he utilizes a lot of time getting to work.
I'll say this too. I think the game changer for Homewood for this could be the demand that comes out for parents who have students in 3 different schools, elementary, middle, and high school. And I could see high school students taking advantage of this a lot. So what does that look like to have minors riding? Is that parental authorization you have?
Yeah,
minors
I think the age is
13 is the youngest that VIA will accept in their vehicles without a parent is 13.
Any other questions? All right.
I'll just say one thing. I was remiss in not letting you know that Charlotte Shaw regrets not being here with you this evening. Her mother is 92 years old in St. Louis, and she fell ill a few weeks ago, so she's been with her mother. But she sends her regrets for not being here.
Send our best to her and her mom.
Yeah. Okay, so a lot of information. If you can distribute all this, and we'll get it disseminated.
Wait, Chris, let me ask, what's the timing for you guys to start with us?
That's really with you. You could start on your fiscal. We can start whenever you guys want. that's really up to you all. We would need time to advertise and get word out before we start, and we would have money budgeted to help with that too.
And that was really the reason, the question was asked to me, do we want to present this during the budget or now? And I felt like, let's look at it now, so if we want to do this, and we can begin it at the start of the fiscal year. So, or if it doesn't make sense, we can delay it, but at least we have the information. So, blame it on me for doing this tonight, but I thought we wanted to hear this, and I think it's great. So let us review it, and then we'll decide as a committee and a council, recommending to the council, what a good start date. And if we have questions, we're gonna definitely reach out. I'm sure there'll be lots of questions as we get through it, but I really appreciate all the
thank y'all.
Good information tonight. You don't have to sit through the rest of the meeting.
Fascinating.
Unless you want. I mean, we're about to talk about some exciting things too. So thank y'all so much. Okay, good deal. So we will, without objection, we'll carry this over for study, and we'll get all the information out to everybody, but we'll carry this item over. 07-08-24, request to review contract for ambulance service. Mayor, I believe, was going to have some comments and then turn it over to the chief.
Yes, thank you, Walter. So as you know, several months back, we went with a contracted ambulance service, and after Chief Broadhead and I had looked at some of the things that we thought may have, we may be able to do better, Chief Broadhead started reaching out to some other companies who, by the way, had also, expressed interest in doing something like this with us. They gave all the information to Chief, and he kind of disseminated and compared and contrasted. And we wanted to bring this to y'all's attention before the next budget, because of course there are, steps and a process that we'd have to go through in order to be able to change if we decide to do so, or if y'all decide to do so. But I wanted to Brandon to give you guys all the information that he was able to apprehend.
So we emailed the proposals out. Did anybody not get a copy? I have extras if we need them. We went after 3 requests for proposals for this. We got Lifeguard, our current provider, RPS, regional paramedics. They've been in this area for a long time and served the city of Homewood before we had dedicated ambulances. And then Rapid Response. Rapid Response is a company out of Michigan that is looking to start up a new one for the city of Homewood. So 3 different prices there, and a little bit different service to each. So after consultation with the mayor, we feel like the middle of the road is the best place for us to be. You'll notice that is 4 trucks. That is a 24, a 16-hour. Both of those are paramedic trucks, so they will carry a paramedic on every truck. A 8-hour advanced. So advanced is just a step down for paramedic, but they can do almost everything that a paramedic can do. And fortunately in Homewood, if something needs a paramedic, we can put one in there if we need to. And then an 8-hour BLS truck that'll be Monday through Friday. That particular one was put in at the request of some of our facilities in Homewood that are really struggling to get an ambulance. We have 4 major ones that are putting a strain on our ability to provide ambulances just because they can't get them either. So I put that request in my budget line item for next year, and we just wanted to make sure you guys knew the full options and could see everything that we had before it came to that. Plus, in our current contract, after speaking with Mr. Kendrick, if we decide to change providers, we have to issue a 180-day out clause. So that puts us 6 months out from whenever the council decides that, yes, we're going to change before we can implement a new provider.
And when you're saying facilities, are you talking about like Brookdale?
Brookdale was the most vocal one recently.
Yeah.
Right.
And do we service the one, I can't remember the name, down behind the Church of Christ on West Oxmoor? Regency.
There's
No, we didn't.
Lakeshore, that was one, and then there's the one up at Skyline.
Skyline is big, and then we have that new apartments coming up there too. They're 55 plus.
Skyline's Golden Crest, right?
It is.
Yeah.
You see the calls.
I see them all.
Yeah.
And our goal is to tier our response from this point forward. You'll no longer get a paramedic truck for every single call. It's just not needed anymore.
Yeah.
So we will tier those responses based on the call type that comes in.
So which company are you recommending?
Regional paramedics.
Thank you.
So where will these trucks be based out of?
Out of here in Homewood. So they were on West Oxmoor last time. those are the final details. We'll have to, once we tell that we're
They will
going.
be in the city.
Yes, they will be here somewhere. Or on the outskirts of our city right here. I think Lifeguard currently is right on, West Oxmoor, right outside.
I just wanna make sure they weren't,
But these will be, all of the providers here are dedicated Homewood trucks. So what we're paying for stays in Homewood. They don't go unless it comes from our 911 center. Or now the BLS truck will be a little bit different. We will allow it to answer calls into places in Homewood without a fire truck responding, just because it doesn't make
Doesn't
sense.
require, yeah.
What is BLS?
Basic life support.
Basic life. Well, I mean, you have done all the due diligence. I tried to read through the proposals. It was quite extensive, but it's up to the finance committee as to what they want to do. But the first thing, if we do move to the regional paramedics, it would be to issue a request the mayor to issue a notice of cancellation. So we have the 180 days, but it's, you know.
Well, and I assume we would be discussing this
In
in the budget hearings.
And there, if we issue the 180 day today, it just starts that 6-month timer. If something comes back and changes before we budget for it and sign the contract with RPS, then we could obviously take that into consideration. This is the main goal was that if we think we want to change, I need to issue that 180 day out.
Were those proposals good for 6 months?
Yes, sir.
So Chief Broadhead, have you dealt with others, talked to other cities who are using these folks, that you feel good about them?
So RPS was here for, help me out, RPS, they've been here as long as I was beforehand, but we never had a contract with them. I think we're gonna find that they provide the service that we've had in the past when they had plenty of staffing, but this time it's dedicated to Homewood. And there's a couple things happening around the county that are changing some dynamics. There's partners that they currently cover that are down in Shelby County that are now going to the fire department transport. So they have a lot of resources freeing up down there too. But in their proposal, and the same with the two top proposals, they have a big presence in the Birmingham area, both Lifeguard and RPS. I think RPS is probably the largest 911 provider in the state of Alabama. So they have contracts with St. Clair County and a couple others, Lifeguards up in Blount County and UAB. But the one thing that regional paramedics brought to me that I thought was kind of a game changer, they have agreed and signed an MOU with Rocky Ridge Fire Department. So if they don't have a unit available, they will notify Rocky Ridge to run our call, and then they have worked out a price schedule on their side so that they will pay Rocky Ridge for that transport. So it doesn't involve us. We feel like we're signing a contract with them. They should provide the service, and they have put a backup in there that if we can't provide it, we've got an MOU with somebody that can come and help. Rapid Response also offered that on their side, and then, but they don't have any other resources in Alabama. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question about that last part that you were talking about, where if there's not a truck available, they get something from Rocky Ridge. Has that been tried in any other city? Does that process actually work?
So we do that currently.
Yeah, we do it.
The problem is Rocky Ridge came up to us and they're out money if we call them, and then they don't end up getting a transport, a billable transport. And there's a lot of costs associated with just keeping those ambulances in service. So they actually already respond to us 94 times in the last year that Rocky Ridge has helped us out. This will just give them a method to get their money back when our contract doesn't fulfill the demand. You notice we still kept just one overnight. The data's not there to support the cost for it, but having a backup makes me feel a whole lot better that if you happen to be the second person calling overnight, you get something.
Chief Broadhead, you mentioned the advanced unit, and that if there's not if that unit doesn't have a paramedic, it's okay because we'll provide a paramedic from fire side. Is that correct?
If needed.
If needed. And
less than 10% of our calls, when you get down to 4 or 5 trucks at a time, are going to need that. Advanced can do almost everything except for cardiac drugs, and just a few cardiac drugs. The state of Alabama has really stepped up what the advanced EMT can do over the last 3 years.
And so kind of related to this too then, sorry.
No,
so this will help with response, efficiency, and time. but will it help fire at all with relieving any burden of response and staffing?
The BLS unit particularly. So when we partnered to work on that BLS unit a lot of these calls that we are making now, we will not make. So a call to a facility that doesn't require an ALS response, we will no longer go to. We will send the BLS unit alone, which after meeting with Brookdale and other facilities in Homewood, they are okay with that. They don't want the fire truck and the 5 or 4 paramedics there because they don't need it. They just can't find an ambulance on their own. They're waiting 2 or 3, 4 hours to get one, and somebody just needs a ride to the hospital.
Do you have data on what percentage of calls that is? Or just an estimate?
It's about 600 a year
Okay.
between the 4 facilities.
Thanks.
Yeah, and so
Huge amounts.
No, I mean, just Chief, just based on, this is good information. I appreciate the proposal and I appreciate the dollar amount being posted as finance. At the same time, considering some other challenges we've had with outsourced services, right? Is there a sense of customer satisfaction, right, in terms of patients, and can we get information along those lines in terms of any challenges that municipalities may have had or not, just so that we're feeling really good about the decision how we'll make it?
The trend has been for government takeover transport over the mountain in the past, but our liability is what's holding us there. It's extremely expensive, is my understanding, for the liability aspect alone. For us to do this same service, you're looking at about $1.2 million a year plus a capital expense. Now, we would get some billing revenue, so it may offset, but I don't think we're gonna do, I would be hard for me to come in here and tell you for $675, put it in my budget, I could do the same thing. I don't think I can. I think that just like we have with Lifeguard the last year, us working closely with their providers, we can address any customer issues. I don't think that's outside the realm. I mean, we've been using private transport for as long as I've been here, and if we feel that our patients are not being treated well, we will happily take over and ride with them to the hospital. We have done that multiple times, addressed it with the supervisors of the company, and making sure that that person no longer serves here in the city. So.
But have we not seen customer like approval ratings or not ratings? I don't know that you have a rating, but the citizens of Homewood have been much happier since we've had a contract. The contract is key.
Yes.
Contracting with a service instead of not having the contract and then relying on 20, 30-minute lead times for an ambulance.
It's the unknown that is the worst. So the last year we had, so the first 6 months of our current contract service, we had 95 times that no units were available, that we filled in from other places. We changed our policy, we changed the method in which we operate, most of that being that we will sit there with you until a unit clears up unless there's a medical need. We are also offering some other transport options when we can get them. So, hey, you don't need to go to the hospital. If you sign out here, we'll give you a courtesy up to Brookwood. Those things are freeing up ambulances for what they're really needed for. But in the last year, after we changed those policies, we only had 45 no units available. But our wait times went up because of that. So adding the BLS, I think, will help bring those wait times back down. We're averaging roughly 10 to 11 minutes for an ambulance currently. Fire trucks are getting there within 4 to 6, and then the ambulance is right behind them.
And I'm assuming probably facility calls, because having witnessed that with the Stavia guys up at Mount Royal, I would imagine that kind of skews your number a little bit, because like you said, they're waiting a lot longer, and then that throws off the other people.
And we, now with facilities, if we get there and there's only one unit left, if it is a non-emergent call, we will contact our medical control and leave them there until a second ambulance frees up. But we don't want to be left with one ambulance for everybody else, for something that can wait and is perfectly safe to wait.
Yeah, a minute ago, I was just going to add, the BLS unit's fantastic because that saves 600 truck rolls of one of your massive trucks and the cost of a Cummins engine that we just saw.
And the cost of that BLS unit to us is $30,000, so it's.
Yeah, that's.
Now, it will not save 600, because cardiac arrest,
Right.
those things we will still respond on,
Sure, yeah.
but it will save a large portion. And our maintenance costs went up again, so you are absolutely right. Everything I can do to keep those trucks from rolling is better.
Thank you for your
All
hard
right,
work.
any other questions? Okay, we'll take this and another review, we'll carry it over without objection.
Thank you, Chief.
Lots of brain power on this. Stay up here, Chief. 08-08-24, request to set bid date Fire Station 3 addition. Your recommendation is also the same as we had before, right?
Yeah, y'all will already be here, might as well do them together.
September 9th.
September 9th at 4:30, with opening about 4:35.
All right, I would make the motion to set that bid date for September 9th at 4:30.
Second.
Okay, moved by Ms. Smith, second by Mr. Gwaltney. Any questions on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that's 5-0. Going to council, 090824, request to appoint city clerk. Mayor?
So as you all are aware, after our former city clerk's retirement earlier this year, we have been working with an assistant city clerk. And JJ and I have gone through some interviews and just want to say, first of all, that I appreciate Bo stepping up in the place in an assistant role. But he has done a fantastic job, as you guys are all very well aware. And I think, Bo is now on the list where we need him to be, and so I would like to request the appointment of Mr. Bo Segrist for city clerk.
I would happily make that motion.
Second.
It's moved, second by Mr. Walton.
All those there.
Any other discussion?
We can all say.
No, and the only thing I'll just make a quick comment about is that Pete, you're so willing to learn, and you're definitely in the learning process, and recommendations that I might have had about, maybe you can talk to other clerks, you're already on it, in terms of, as we approach the election, talking to other municipalities that are dealing with similar elections, you're already doing that. So I don't mean to embarrass you, but I just appreciate your willingness to continue to learn, and I know it's a lifelong mission of yours. So we have a motion and a second. Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's 5-0.
And if you haven't been in the clerk's office, go check it out.
Yeah.
Now,
Right.
this has to
We'll
pass
recognize
council
that
next
place.
week.
Yeah.
So,
So you might wanna,
So we need one more vote. Okay. I think that's enough for tonight, unless somebody has something.
You missed a lot.
Hearing none, without objection, we're adjourned.
Yeah, we
We're
did.
adjourned.
Okay, but that's good.
That was an action-packed agenda today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1 hour into that.
Always have meetings like.
Hey, Brian, I'm ready whenever you're ready.
Bo's ready. It seems like when I'm not.
And how long have you been home?
I got home at 9:30 last night.
Friday.
It was an 8-hour time difference. That's a long, it was a 12-and-a-half-hour flight. That's crazy. Thank you.
Ready? Yes, sir.
Public Safety Committee meeting for August 19, 2024. Councilor Walton.
Here.
Wolverton. Here. Jones.
Here.
Nelms. Harden.
Here.
Ford.
All right, for present, at this time I'll entertain a motion to dispense the reading and approve the minutes from the Public Safety Committee meeting from August 5th.
So moved.
Council Jones. What a Wolverton.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Harden. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it 3-0. Although Wolverton is here somewhere.
I said aye.
Oh, you said aye.
Yeah,
I didn't see you, sorry. Under new business, 10-8-24, request for consideration of speed bumps at the library. Judith Wright, library director. So, Director Wright sent to the committee a pretty exhaustive list of options that they had explored for speed control. She looked at the data, talked to the police, and please, if you want to speak to this, I'm happy to be quiet. But she talked to her engineering firm that's worked with her. She's worked with Kale as well to see what options are, and basically the most cost-effective option that is out there to solve the need of addressing traffic or speed through the library parking lot would be speed bumps. So I'm in support of the speed bumps going in because it's easy. I know that we have concerns about speed bumps on our city roads, but we routinely have speed bumps in parking lots, and I forget the example parking lot that y'all referenced.
Soccer park.
Soccer park.
Yeah.
So I think the easiest solution here and most logical is the speed bumps, but since it's committee, welcome to open the discussion up to what everybody thinks.
It's a democracy.
Yes.
Are the budgeted or proposed speed bumps, are they similar to the ones at the soccer park where they're kind of prefabbed and put in?
Yes.
Or are they more like Berry Road where they are
Prefab.
paved asphalt? Okay, prefab.
Which come up some.
Yeah. And the only comment also, I mean, I just wanted to look at any other options. I didn't like any of the options that you threw out there. I thought signage would help, but if there's a belief within the board that signage will be a waste of time, then, I don't have any issue with it.
And
prefab speed humps.
I think it's safe to say in a parking lot that it should be a given that there's ingress and egress of people and pedestrians, and it's not a place to haul that and speed through, but yet it still is a problem.
And one of the options on the table that I would not be in support of would be engaging HPD to be in parking lot. I don't think that's a good use of the HPD resources personally, so.
Nor is it sustainable.
Right. It's temporary fix, right? Right, good point. Anybody else? Thoughts, questions, concerns?
I don't know if we did I guess a motion to approve what the board recommended. That was the only item that was left on that. And what was the cost? I don't recall. It was another, what, $3,000?
$3,000 line item transfer.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the transfer of $3,000 for speed humps in the library parking lot.
I just need the information about where it's from and where it's going to.
Okay, we have a motion?
Can somebody provide that?
Yeah. Did we approve the funding last meeting?
We approved all the funding
Transfer.
except for the speed hump.
Okay,
So we did the
perfect. That's what I
22
thought.
out of the 25,000 total. Isn't that right? Yeah.
Okay.
So we just.
So we have a motion?
And a second.
Second by Councilor Wilkerson. Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, 4-0. Under new business, 1108-24, request to sign automatic aid agreement with Mountain Brook Fire Department. Chief Broadhead.
Hello, so we emailed this out on Friday. This is just step 2 of our mutual aid with our partners over the mountain. You'll see, you guys already approved the agreement to share equipment. This just allows on structure fires for them to come to us automatically and us. In order to get ISO credit for that, we need this in place. So Mr. Kendrick was still the contract. He said it obligated me to everything, so he was, as long as I was okay with it, he was okay with it.
Okay, thank
Is
you.
that the same, are we doing the same thing with Vestavia?
We are working on it right now. A little bit different verbiage. They want our truck company versus an engine, so just a few minor changes to theirs.
In the past, we've had an agreement.
We have an equipment share agreement with Vestavia already, and then this is just gonna outline what ISO needs from us so that we get credit for each other's resources.
Same thing as mutual aid, correct? Or it's
No.
different?
Well,
Different? Can you
it is
clarify?
basically the same. Automatic aid happens on the dispatch, so that when the caller calls 911, they don't have to wait for one of my units to say, send me Vestavia. Mutual aid happens on request.
Gotcha.
Automatic aid is the only one that counts for your ISO credit. And you have to have an agreement signed prior to the call to get credit.
Thank you. Any other questions from the committee, council? In the room?
Move to approve.
Second. Motion by Councilor Jones, second by Councilor Harden. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, 4-0. With that, public safety is adjourned.
You ready?
Andrew, you ready?
Public Works Committee meeting for August 19, 2024. Council Wolfson.
Here.
Gear.
Here.
Sims.
Here.
Mills is out. Harden.
Here.
Got 4.
All right. Thank you. Can I have a motion to dispense the reading and approval of
So
minutes
moved.
from August
Second.
5th? Motion by Counselor Sims, second by Counselor Gear. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 4-0. We have no old business. We're going to new business 120824. Request permission to make alley improvements at 205 East Linwood brought to us by David Siegel and Cale Smith.
Yeah, I'll start. David knows a lot more about microtransit than he thought
Really interesting.
Yeah, so this is, I didn't send you a map, right? Can you go to like an overall map so we can kind of look at where this is? I'm sorry. To like an aerial? Oh, sorry. Okay. There's a hiccup.
That picture's a good angle of it, though. The property line that we're discussing is in between that wood fence, and you'll see the chain link fence over
Right.
there. And that's the rear left corner of 205 East Linwood. And there's supposed to be a 15-foot alley right away from that point to the left. And as you can see, the alleys, it just never got paved that way.
Yeah, so from here to the left is that actual alley.
Right, and that's what we're wanting to infill with asphalt to be able to access.
Whose
the
fence
backyard.
is that? Whose chain link fence?
Well, no, it's in the alley. It's nobody's
it's in
chain
the
link
alley,
fence,
yeah.
yeah.
Is it?
That's the house. This is the roundabout on the left. Yep, right here. So this is where we are. This is the house that's under construction, and so all this is happening in the back of the house.
Yeah, correct.
They will improve the alley.
So is the chain link fence coming from somewhere and we're gonna cut that off?
No, it's just, there's just a 4 or 5 foot section of chain link fence that doesn't go anywhere. Now, further up the alley, closer to the street, there's a gate that's in there that we're not gonna mess with because the alley actually, you can drive a car through it. The neighbor behind them uses the alley as their driveway. We're just wanting to use the same alley to be able to access.
Can you drive around the corner?
So your real goal is to get permission to work in the alley?
Correct.
And go in.
Yeah.
Unless y'all wanna pay for it.
Right,
then
there,
that'd be great.
and then spin around. So that's the alley. That's where the alley starts at East Hawthorne.
Yep.
And that's the fence that we just saw in the photo.
We just wanna straighten the alley back out to what it's mapped to be.
Hey, David, I got a question.
Yes, sir.
Just looking at the survey that Cale sent today, the garage doesn't extend to the alley, does it?
No, it's 5'4", I think, from the alley.
Okay. I just wanna make sure, because it requires a different document.
Right. It
Yeah,
meets
no,
all the setbacks.
that was permanent recently, but it was over 5 feet from the property.
Yeah.
So it's not in the right of that.
It's not.
That's right.
So that goes from here to East Linwood.
The alley really runs all the way through to, what's that, Lower
Is
Street?
it Grove?
Grove.
Valley.
Grove.
Valley.
Valley Place.
It should run to Valley, but all the neighbors.
So you just constructed paving, is that all?
Well, I was assuming we need to do asphalt paving, but yes, that's all I want permission to do is clear out vegetation as
I
needed.
put landscape, but it's paving.
Just
construction.
paving.
Yeah, I'm
There's
not
a
sure
gate
whose
further
gate-
up the driveway.
Whose gate is this, David?
I don't know, half of it looks like it's on the neighbor's property to the right, half of it looks like it's on that neighbor's property, that you see the house right there.
Are you getting a survey?
Oh, yes, sir, it's all been surveyed.
Can you go to the site plan, Brian? Hang on, I was just gonna pull this in case this may help. Yeah, there it is.
Yep. Yeah, you can see the curve.
To confirm, all these improvements that are in the right of way that you're requesting are adjacent to only your property? Is that correct?
No, it would creep up a little bit further to where you see the word Grove right there. And that curve probably starts a little bit closer there. You can see, and I wish we had more of this printed out, but this is that's the alley down through here, but it just curves through here.
Mhm.
And we're just wanting to straighten it out so that we can do the driveway and the garage right there.
So it would be on this property owner's adjacent to their property as well?
It would be adjacent to theirs, but the work we would be doing would be in the alley.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you spoke to that property owner about?
Yes, we have. I would probably wanna have a continued conversation with them if we got approved post-meeting, but they're obviously fine with it.
Okay.
The issue that may come up for y'all down the road is these two neighbors right here want access to the same alley, but this neighbor down here on Grove is taking over the alley completely with paved driveway. I mean, that's not for this meeting.
That's right.
This is,
Yes, I mean, they're completely using that as their driveway, and it's not.
down at the bottom where
Yes,
East Homewood
it is,
Grove
yeah.
in the picture up here is.
Yes. Yes.
So it should kind of continue all throughout that
It's supposed to
vegetated
continue all the way
area.
down through there.
We got a lot of that. Okay.
Where's the property, where's 205 in this picture?
It's where the green backyard. Yep.
The bigger section of green?
Yes,
Gotcha.
correct, right there.
And so those trees are down now and there's a
Correct.
garage?
Correct.
What the indemnification says is to construct paving improvements in the alley at the rear of 205 East Linwood as described in Exhibit 1, which is survey 87.
And the current property with the trees meets the requirements for the tree ordinance and all that, even with.
They meet all the
that taken?
requirements for everything. They're just
Okay.
asking for permission to build access to the rear of their property.
I'm gonna add the pursuant to plans approved by the city.
For the garage?
No, for the improvement.
Okay.
The paving.
All right. I make a motion to approve work in the right of way pending the proper indemnification agreements and, with a contingent that the plan be approved by the city.
Second.
Is that good, Mike?
Or
Yeah.
Just
Motion
send
by
it to council.
Counselor Sims, second by Counselor Gear, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 4-0 vote, and then staff extend turn.
Thank you.
I am ready, sir. Mr. City Clerk.
Special Issues Committee meeting for August 19, 2024. Counselor Smith?
Here?
Gear?
Here.
Allemon?
Here.
Sims?
Here.
Andrus?
Here.
All here.
All right, could I get a motion to dispense with the, reading of the minutes from our previous meeting, as presented, and move to approve those minutes? Second. All right, motion from Mr. Allemon, second from Ms. Andrus. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. Okay, old business item, 180424, request to transfer all future sign requests to be handled by the Board of Zoning Adjustments. Mr. Smith, do we have anything on that, or we're still working on? Kale?
Uh-oh.
You're like,
Kale.
no, about the board, switching signs to BZA, are we still working on that?
We are, we
Okay.
actually, we have an internal meeting tomorrow.
Okay, awesome.
Am I on a committee for that?
I think
You
we-
are, but you haven't been called to participate.
Okay, just wanna make sure. I-
Yeah,
Okay.
we have not been called up to service yet. Okay, all right, well, we will, carry that one over, pending, the internal meeting, and if you need anything from us. Okay.
Need to know basis.
We do not
Right
need
now, I do
to
not need
know.
to
We do
know.
not need to know. New business, 130824, request, for consideration of a new facilities use agreement to host events on the City Hall Plaza from Oscar Padro and Soho Social Soho Taco. Mr. Pugh. Oscar is here. And I think we already have this agreement in place, correct?
Yes, there is an agreement. Yeah, there's been a little confusion
Okay,
We have an agreement that expired by its time late,
okay,
so it's gotta be renewed.
okay.
But there was some discussion, and maybe Wyatt can talk about this, I just know it's secondhand, that, who is the entity that's gonna be the new one? Is it the same one as the previous one?
I think so, it's gonna be Soho, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, Soho's not the one that's got the facility use agreement now.
Who is
It's,
it?
it is H&H Eats LLC.
Oh,
That's so.
is that y'all's,
Yeah.
the corporate, that's the corporate name for, cause
Yeah.
they also have the.
I understand that, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
what's on the agenda was Soho, so I'm just trying to clarify
Okay,
that.
so,
The second thing I wanna clear up is that there was some discussion, or at least confusion, that Soho has a right to essentially lease out or to have events that's not associated with them as promote their business, like this CrossFit. It was never intended that Soho would be able to essentially have events other than what promotes your business.
right, like if they're having like a band party
Yeah,
or something
and
like
that's what
that,
it's provided for.
Right,
Or
and-
anything essentially that they're
a
undertaking.
third-party
A
situation is not.
CrossFit, I don't think you're running the CrossFit.
Right, right, so the
competition.
third party situation is something that is
Yeah.
outside of the agreement with them.
Correct, and the CrossFit is to be approved subsequently.
Separately.
Yes.
Okay,
But
okay.
it-
We try to we try to provide Wyatt with the information for every event that we got going on. Every time somebody approaches us for the different events.
Yeah,
that we wanna
sponsor is
do.
one thing, but essentially running the event, like the pole vaulting or CrossFit, somebody else is gonna be to run that event.
Yeah, but instead of coming to you, if it's a third party situation, it's not something associated with the restaurant, they would probably need to come directly to us as opposed to coming to you.
Yeah, Soho was never intended to be able to give permission for use of the
Right,
plaza
yeah.
for those kind of events.
Yeah.
Only for your own internal
Because,
events.
because whoever running the event
Yeah.
has to have insurance
Yeah. Right.
for the event. I don't think you're providing insurance for the people that are running the event and if something happens out there.
We actually were the one that came up with the event. So we reach out to CrossFit.
Well,
for yeah,
come
go
up with
ahead.
an event, it's like sponsoring it, you're promoting it, but they're gonna run the event.
Yeah, the issue is who's ever running it has got to have insurance for the event.
Okay.
In case something happens down there.
Understood, but I am running that event.
Okay.
I am personally running that event.
Are you taking the fees and entry?
All, yes, we are, and it's all gonna be donated to the Cancer Awareness Association for the kids. It's in
Okay.
September awareness.
It was never intended that you could run events other than for your own
Okay.
restaurant promotion.
Okay.
Like Alex said.
Again, I try to run everything to the council.
No,
because
it's,
I don't.
no, this is just about making sure we're all on the same
Absolutely,
page.
absolutely.
We get it. The issue is that we need to know who's, if there's an event that's being run out there
Mhm.
that is not just, hey, we're having a band for the, then it needs to come back to council because we have to make sure all the boxes are checked.
Absolutely.
So that we know that there's insurance for the
Police
event, we
stuff.
know that we're handling that event the same way as we're handling other events that aren't coming through y'all. And so there's a difference in someone's coming to do an event and they're contracting, they're contracting with you to do the alcohol or whatever.
Absolutely.
But in terms of having a lease for the plaza for an event, we need to make sure that we've checked all the boxes.
Yeah.
And so
No problem.
I think we're only talking about a little sliver of events that
Yes,
we're really,
yeah.
that aren't falling in these other categories, but we need to make sure that we're clear on that.
Yeah, and for what I understood too, when we did the agreement last year, anything that happened should go under our insurance. So anything that we try to do, we know that we're liable for it, and then we cover that with our insurance. But
Yeah,
yes.
and that's exactly right, and that's what we need. It's just when another name gets put on the event,
Yes.
that's when we need to make sure
Understood. Yep.
we're covering everything.
Okay.
All right, so, Mike, I guess we need to, instead of Soho Social, Soho Taco, it needs to be H&H.
Yeah, I've done the thing,
Okay.
using H&H, I just wanna make sure that's the right one.
Yeah, okay, all right. Anybody wanna make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve, the new agreement.
Uh-huh.
And so the new facility agreement is just because the other one has
Has expired.
expired?
Yeah,
Correct.
cause they did have permission to do this for the
Yeah.
last year, and so this is just replacing the thing, but we just wanted to make sure that we had all our.
Yeah, and I apologize because it was done last March, and for some reason we forgot that we had to renew it again.
All right,
So-
well, we'll get it done. All right, I have a motion for Ms. Andrus and a second for Mr. Almond. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
5-0, that passes. So that'll be in Councilwoman Knight. And then subsequently, 140824, request for consideration to host a CrossFit competition on the City Hall Plaza, September 14th, 2024, from 9 a.m. to approximately 1 p.m. Bridget Allday is the event coordinator, and then Oscar.
Are you handling that, Oscar?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I am totally handling that. And again, it's for a fundraiser that we're doing for the Cape Cod Association. It's the month. We do assume all the liability for it. We partner with all the gyms around, Homewood, Vestavia, Mount Brook, so they can come out and compete. And we do have a cap of like 40 teams.
Okay.
So that's just what it is.
So who CrossFit? Who is CrossFit?
It's a
Type of.
it's a type of exercise. So it's like,
Well, I understand what
yeah,
that is.
yeah.
Who's
Oh,
in it?
I think it's multiple groups. They're
It is
gonna have a
multiple groups,
competition
yes.
amongst gyms. So it'll be multiple gyms
So
apparently.
it's just multiple gyms.
I know I'm fat and old.
You're not Iron
He
Tribe.
knows what CrossFit
I don't
is.
think it's not one specific, so it's not like it's Iron Tribe. It's gonna be a CrossFit exercise competition amongst different gyms who do that. I think Oscar.
Yeah.
Yeah, Oscar is gonna sign the agreement because
Can
he
you
is the one who
demonstrate?
is. Me and Jim
I'll put that in the
demonstrated.
minutes.
We have done our demonstration.
We asked her to demonstrate, she refused.
Okay.
We also run the 110K too, by the way.
There you go.
Easier for that.
Is it Oscar individually or a Soho social? What?
What?
Is
Who would sign the
H&H,
agreement?
is H
I
and
am.
you
Like
as the,
H&H, yeah.
you as the representative of
Yep.
H&H, so it is
H&H.
technically under the H.
That's right.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. All right. So, and I assume there's.
I asked you.
We understand.
Will it be a team
Um,
competition?
We still got a couple spots if you got one that's not mine.
And we assume there's nothing else going on that day, that time, everything, it's clear.
No, this actually came to me through Kim Zakarin down at Yellow Bicycle.
Okay.
So, yeah,
It's
she was
all
fine
clear.
with it, but
Okay.
yeah.
Is the air not working in there?
It does feel really hot in here, I agree.
Can I make a motion?
Yes, you can make a
Yeah,
motion.
make a motion to approve for the CrossFit competition on September 14th.
All right, motion from Ms. Andrews.
Second.
Second from Ms. Gear. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
5-0, that passes. All right, Oscar, you are released unless you just wanna stay for fun.
Brand new chiller.
150824, request consideration of a sign variance at 815 Green Springs Highway, Suite 101, JJ Thomas, owner, Talanya Griffin, Cookie Plug, Wyatt Hugh, building. Hi, oh hi, there you are. All right,
Yeah, we're requesting, this is a huge window that goes into our, company. Now, this building sits several feet off of the street. It's inside of the venue, and there's gravel and seating right there. So people can, look directly in there and stand there and look into, and this is my double door, so that would be just the window and the door to cover it up, so that people can't, look into, get proprietary information from us concerning our cookies.
okay.
So we're trying to, avoid that.
So the double doors, I'm assuming those face Green Springs?
Yes.
And then the window, that actually faces the interior of the edge, so it's where the people are sitting and the tables and
Yes,
stuff.
ma'am.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes, ma'am. So we're just requesting to see if we could, leave that up, so, it's kid friendly and fun.
Oh, okay, is it already there? It's already there, okay.
Mhm.
Oh, yes, cause those are pictures, obviously. Wyatt?
Yeah.
Remind me, cause I know we
20%
changed
tax
our
coverage.
window coverage percentage.
Yeah, that's right. The sign ordinance allows a 20% maximum coverage of
Yeah.
each pane,
Yeah.
essentially. So, this of course is 100.
Right. And can you remind us the reasons that we don't like to have windows completely covered and doors completely covered?
One of the reasons that the council kind of went back to several times was a safety issue regarding the police and maybe someone, hiding in there. Other than that, I believe it was mostly aesthetic.
Yeah.
Mostly aesthetic.
Now, we do have
had
a
lot of
service window too, that we're servicing customers, that's next to this.
Okay.
So that comes wide open as well.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
I
saying?
think it's
So
just, especially, to me, especially the part that really is the doors in the front. And I get what you're saying about wanting to kind of protect y'all's process and your service.
And this is a franchise out of California, so they've, done this several times.
Yeah.
My concern, I just don't wanna have to do blinds or something like that. Cause I have to protect their interests.
I get it, but that's basically a violation of our sign ordinance, and we literally just changed that, last spring?
And made several businesses take their.
And made several businesses remove that, including Ace Hardware. It was in 2024, I think it was.
January, that's right.
Yeah, it was earlier this year.
So it's your baking process that you're trying to protect?
Yes, ma'am. The ingredients and stuff that we do for our cookies, I mean, it's a huge, like I said, it's the size of the building.
So we can have opaque windows, or we can't do that either? Or-
No, that was part of the change,
Okay.
that the entire sign, including the background,
Yeah,
can only cover
20%.
But blinds are allowed, and blinds act as non-see-through, right?
Yes.
But they can be lowered and raised. They don't exist all the time, blocking 100% of the site into the building.
Also, Ace Hardware is still more than 20% coverage.
Well, theirs was done before we made the ordinance change, and so they kinda got creative with meeting the wording of the old ordinance, where their sign is no more than 50% of the pane, but then they sort of just did a opaque,
That was one we changed.
non-specific
Yeah, that was one of the reasons they
thing.
changed.
So they complied at that time.
I got you.
Well, I would recommend sending this out without recommendation pending a public hearing, is that right?
Yes,
It's so long,
yes.
okay.
So do we need to set a public hearing?
Yes, and we need to set a public hearing, which, Mike, when would be the soonest that we could do that?
Let's say September.
September the 9th?
Yeah, just a second, I'm sorry.
No, not the 9th, 16th.
And as part of my motion,
Okay.
as part of my motion, set the public hearing for September 16th.
Okay, I have a motion to set the public hearing for September 16th and send this out of committee without a recommendation pending that public hearing from Ms. Andrus.
Second.
Second from Ms. Gear. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
5-0. So that will be in a public hearing on Monday, September 16th, and that is in the room next door in council chambers.
Thank you, and we have a grand opening August 24th.
Okay.
From 12 to 8, so I would love for all of you guys to come out.
The
and
cookies
enjoy it,
good?
okay? They are good, they're 4-inch, really thick,
Oh my
good
goodness.
cookies.
That
And if you
sounds
sign up for
decadent.
the rewards, you buy 4, get 8 free.
Oh,
wow.
okay. That's a bargain.
It's only on grand opening day.
Okay. All right, well, thank y'all for coming in.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate it. We'll see y'all on the 16th. Okay, 160824, request to use City Hall Plaza on March 1st, 2025 for the Wine 10K from Ms. Andrus and Joey Longoria.
And Joey is here. Joey, come say hi.
Okay, there
and
we go.
tell
All
us
right.
What's going on?
I think we did this last spring, correct?
We did.
Yes, okay.
And
We're
we are
trying-
so ahead of the game.
I know, we're trying to do it a little bit earlier this year.
Yeah.
I'm Joey Longoria with Aspire Sports Institute. Thank you to Councilor Andrus for always helping us with this. This is for the 10K that we do here in Homewood. This would be the 2025 on March 1st would be our 10-year anniversary for the race. It's been in Homewood every year except for those 2 nasty COVID years that we had to move it to another site that allowed us to do it. So, but we've been back in Homewood for the last 2 years. We've started and finished right here in Soho. That's the same plan again. Last year we worked with Officer Wisenhunt on the course. I think it was a much better course than we did the previous year. It kept everything on one side of Oxmoor. So to my knowledge, no complaints from any of the neighbors. We, I think, did a really good job of alerting everybody. So same course, everything the same as we did this past year. The only vendor that we will use is Soho Taco. They did, just because their licensing
Sure.
Makes it just easier for everybody to do that and be in compliance. So it would be March 1st of 2025, the 10K race again.
What's the timing, Joey?
It starts at 7 a.m.
7 a.m.
Which we did that the last 2 years just to try to make sure that runners are off the road when traffic kind of starts up. And
Sure.
Typically, they're all in off the roads in about an hour 15, so about 8:15 in the morning, they're pretty clear.
But y'all would be down there probably till,
I think we did the plaza until 10 a.m.
Okay.
We do the,
okay.
correct, we
okay.
do the awards at 9.
Okay.
And they're usually finished by 9:30. Most everybody leaves at
After
that
that.
point.
Yeah.
They may stick around and have brunch at some of the places around Homewood, but pretty much everybody's cleared out, and we're picking up by 10 o'clock.
Okay,
in the
alright,
morning,
so we'll say, I guess we'll just use those same hours. Alright, can I get a motion?
Around the licensing, that's for the alcohol license?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Allows them to
they do
serve
our
drinks.
food, all the food, beverages, non-alcoholic and alcoholic beverages. We just use them to take care of everything.
So move to approve.
Okay,
Second.
motion for Ms. Andrews, second for Mr. Almond, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, 5-0, that is approved. And then 17.
Going to council.
Next meeting, yeah. 170824, request for consideration of potential condemnation of property located at 185 Oxmoor Road, Councilors Almond and Wolverton.
Yes, we're looking at condemning 185 Oxmoor Road for a variety of reasons.
Okay, what?
This is a Waffle
Oh, Waffle House.
Oh, the Waffle House.
Burnt out Waffle House.
Yes. That is wide open, by the way. I drove by there the other day and there's a door just standing open.
I drive by there every single day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a constant problem.
Yeah.
And so it's been a constant problem with attracting, rodents and other
Vagrants.
issues and potentially vagrants. And so I think that those are things that we want to condemn, right, and to discourage.
Okay.
So we're moving forward with that.
All right, did Mr.
He's got it
you
pulled
do-
up, I think, Brian.
Okay,
Yes.
I sent you a resolution.
yeah. Proposed resolution, okay. And has the abatement board?
This is not a condemnation for.
Okay.
No, this is a condemnation to buy the property.
Gotcha. Okay, so we're maybe possibly looking to.
We're looking to purchase this, so
To
that
be
we can
used
turn
for
it
public
into
parking.
public
Okay.
parking.
Got it, okay. All right.
So, where's mine? If we condemn it.
All right, and I know that there has been attempts over a long period of time to work with,
We have attempted to engage, but have not been, those conversations have not been fruitful.
yes.
Is it local? Local?
He's been here, but he's not here right now. We have sent him a letter letting him know that we would be looking at this.
And I know it's just been a long time, but
Very long time.
he's never been receptive to it.
So we make an offer based on the
Anyway.
in the public court. This is a condemnation.
Does this require a public hearing?
So you already know.
Mike, does this require a public hearing,
No, ma'am. It doesn't require one, so we got it.
is there a time period, like, how long?
Here's the process.
Yeah, thank you.
The property's gotta be appraised, and it's being appraised now.
Okay,
Once we get the appraisal, we make an offer to purchase the property.
okay,
And hopefully we can do that, but I'm not optimistic based on the mayor's and Alex's previous discussion. So then we would file, if we can't work out a sale voluntarily, we file a petition in probate court under eminent domain to take the property. Then the probate court will set a value for the property. We can only use it for public purposes, in this case, resolution specified public parking.
Bless you.
Same way we took the lot in Edgewood years ago, 10 years ago, where they all next to the Trilogy building. That was a condemnation also, eminent domain.
Considering the desperate need for parking in that area, considering the arrival of new restaurants and townhomes and whatnot, this would be great for public service.
Get rid of an eyesore. Get rid of blight.
Also,
Well, it's blighted, but we're not taking it because of blight.
Yeah.
We're taking it because we have a public need for public parking.
yeah. Okay.
That's what the resolution says.
Is there a certain amount of time that is there anything that we need to do here? If we approve this, we just vote on it next Monday night, or is there is there a timeline of different
Well,
steps?
When
that
we
have
get
to
the
be taken?
appraisal, then this authorizes me to make an offer to purchase the property.
Got
Which
it.
the law requires us to do before we can file any type of domain proceedings in public court.
Okay,
I think you just answered my question, which is you need this resolution then to go through the process with the appraisal to make an offer.
Correct.
okay.
And then if we can't voluntarily come to some agreement, then we file a petition under eminent domain in public court. I take the property to be used for public purposes.
Alright,
And this resolution then covers all of those steps in the process.
It does. It provides for negotiation and or condemnation.
okay. Alright, I have a motion to approve from Mr. Almon and a second from Ms. Andrus. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody against? Okay. Okay, so with that, I believe we've completed our agenda and we are adjourned.